Are you sure you want your ex to come back? What I want to say is, there's a reason why they're an ex, isn't there? There have been various arguments, disagreements in opinions, whether it's right for them to come back or if the universe is sending us this experience to learn lessons from them and move on, to understand that it's time for us to progress toward someone with whom we have better compatibility, we can comprehend. In this video, I want to address the topic of an ex-partner, especially the decision of whether or not we truly want them back. Is there not a reason why they are an ex? There are two main elements that influence our decision-making process. The first is our logical intelligence, which is evidently not always foolproof in applying correct reasoning in every situation. The second is our intuition, often referred to as the voice of our hearts. It's the emotion that almost says, "This is my destiny." When we trust in the destiny that we believe the Creator has prepared for us and align ourselves with the universal energies, we feel in harmony with the flow. We experience a sense of completeness and increase our levels of happiness and satisfaction. Conversely, when we are open to things outside of this alignment, the opposite tends to occur. The question here is, how do we distinguish between the two? Many people, influenced by their ego, tightly hold on to it and become attached. They act as if they own them, attempting to control and dominate them. They cannot imagine a life without them and orient their entire life motivation around that person. They say those who haven't experienced it can't understand. In this case, even if you have lived through that period and overcome it, understanding someone who is currently in that situation can be truly challenging. Yet, even if you're not experiencing it yourself, there may be people around you, among your friends, and perhaps even expressing to you, "I can't live without them." If you were to ask them, since you were arguing every day, breaking up and making up every day, why are you saying you can't live without them now? They wouldn't be able to provide a meaningful or logical answer. This is because in a relationship, after the initial stages and the first year have passed, we sometimes struggle to comprehend how the second year went by. Then the third year comes, and so on. After investing so much time, deciding to turn away from it doesn't become easy. Then you find yourself being dragged along within that relationship. As time continues to pass, even if the love is no longer there, it becomes a habit, a bad habit that you can't quit. The ego kicks in and exacerbates this situation. The individual approaches their partner with a constant desire to see them, an intense longing, and an infinite sense of possession. How do we decide whether our approach to the relationship is a destined path that fulfills our happiness and sense of completeness, or conversely, whether we should distance ourselves from it? After all, relationships are not lived in a rosy world from beginning to end. Aren't disagreements and fights inevitable? Is that so? When arguments and fights become frequent, it's crucial for us to recognize that we are no longer in harmony with that relationship. If we cannot summon the will to make the necessary decision, the disharmony itself eventually guides us to where we need to be through the universal order. – Unfortunately, by paying the price for our wrong decisions, we often have to navigate through a more challenging process. Despite our desire to continue the relationship, driven by habit, fear of losing our comfort zone, and generally the fear of loss, there comes a breaking point. It leads us into a chaotic period in our lives that may feel like hell for a while. As we look from a higher perspective, what we need to understand is this: everything is unfolding as it should. We need to experience that, learn that lesson in a sense. Let's take nature as an example. Storms happen, but none of them lasts forever. The pressure needs to be released somehow for calmness and stillness to return. Excess energies need to dissipate. In other words, there is pain. It would be better if it didn't happen, but it does. However, it is definitely temporary. Achieving awareness of this is a very satisfying feeling. Behind the disharmony, there is a reason, and often we find ourselves stuck in our own thoughts. We try to take control of ourselves, of what's happening around us, and things we cannot control, attempting to mold them into the form we desire. We strive to rationalize this desire, trying every way to convince ourselves. But in reality, as Bruce Lee said, if we become like water and flow with the current, freeing ourselves from this stuck state becomes more possible for us. Spiraling into an obsessively attached state is something we need to learn to overcome. We must ask ourselves this question: do we truly love that person, or is this purely a selfish form of love? Because intentionally keeping someone you love in chaos is also a sign of selfishness. You want what's best for the person you love, whatever that may be. And sometimes what's best for them is to let them go so they can find their own way. And when you set them free, in reality, you are freeing yourself. How? When we free ourselves from the expectation of being in a state of longing for the emotions we desire, based on the outcome of someone else's behavior, we create a space for the universe to guide us to the perfect energy that we actually need to possess and harmonize with. In moments of complete alignment with the divine force, we don't struggle against the flow. If the other party believes it's time to end, we should think before responding, allowing ourselves to realize that they may not have made that decision in the moment they communicated it. In essence, it's about trusting that the universe, or the creator of the cosmos, which also created the universe, has a far better plan for bringing your desires, intentions, and wishes to you on the path than what you know and can conceive. Yes, we can achieve things using our own intelligence and effort. However, we should not completely overlook the aspects of energy and belief. Knowing that much better opportunities will emerge by leaving it to the hands of the universe and trusting in what it will present is sometimes the best approach. Behind you, there is an entire universe supporting you. You are not alone on this journey, and neither is the person in front of you. And the more you tighten your grip, the more you lose what you're holding on to. As they say, if it comes back, it's yours. The person who loves and cares for you, if needed, re-enters your life when you release. But when you trust in the presence of a greater and wiser planning force than yourself and let it take charge, you allow new events, experiences, and people to enter the space freed by the energy you released. You already know what you need to do, how greater and more beautiful things will come into your life. Work, strive, do your part, and then let life unfold. Take very good care of yourself. So glad you exist.